And don't even think about getting into trouble when your ability first manifests. If we have to go through all the trouble of fighting our way through miles of security just so that at the last possible moment we slide, forget it, says the one who enjoyed every moment of the raid. Dutch says, appearing in the doorway. Team meeting. We need to go over what we are all going to do tomorrow. I vote water park. Jesse quips. Dutch takes a sip from his bottle. Idiots, him and Jesse leave as Kentucky starts nagging me. Your clothes are filthy, so I brought your backpack in earlier. Change into the clothes you were actually supposed to wear here, and keep your backpack with you at all times from now on. Jesse says that you can't sense when the slides are about to happen, so if you don't have your backpack attached to you, you might lose all the goods in there. And with the collective luck of the group, the next dimension that we end up in is gonna be a stupid one where you can't take a shower before showing some goon your card. With that little tidbit, she flounces out of the room. I change quickly, savoring the feel of the soft material. No idea what it's called, but it just became my new favorite. The soft, loose white shirt is belted about my waist with a brown woven belt. Skin-tight black pants made of some sort of fabric like spandex leave me lots of room to move. I pull on the hiking boots positioned by my bed, stand up, sit down again and pull them off. I dig around in my backpack until I come up with the missing sock. Pull it on, stuff the boots into my bag, shove the tablet into a different pocket, and wobble towards the door bootless. Hard to believe that I had just spent, according to them, a couple hours training. If they had seen me, would my movements have been a blur, my talking indistinguishable? Or would they be sucked into the same time flow as me, experienced the year I spent with her? Hiyori. I can't forget that name. When will I be able to talk to her again? There's so many more things to ask her about. Before stepping outside, I try to focus on the motes, the little tiny crystals I can now see swirling around the room. Nothing happens. At all. Not even a single one changes its course, or color, or shows any other sign that my will is making an impact on them. So much for all that training. I sigh as I pull the door open. Kentucky is waiting for me, and leads me down the wooden stairs. Did we move or something? I ask, surprised at the sudden change of scenery from the marble floors and fountains and paintings to this plain hallway. Kentucky laughs slightly. No, we're just in the servants' quarters. Simply because they're closer to the kitchen. Honestly, what's the point of having a place like this if we can't get a little crazy and use it to the max? Sometimes I just don't understand the motivation people have for getting flashy stuff if they never use it. Like owning 16 cars. First of all, cars are a ludicrous idea. All that gas and vapors and loud noises just to get someone to their next destination faster than they can run. Why would people want to be able to go further than a place they can travel to in a day? I don't know. I reply slowly, trying to understand what she's trying to get at. If it were all up to me, we wouldn't need all the junk stuff people have these days, things that keep them from hunting and gathering. Yeah, well, over the years. We've developed more efficient ways of getting the food we need, like raising livestock and growing plants to eat. That gave us time to explore other things, should have dedicated that time to finding more food. She growled. Either that, or training to fight. Her tone of voice felt almost condescending. Just what are you trying to get at? Oh, nothing. She shrugs. Other than the fact that you have no fighting skills whatsoever. It felt like a slap. Hey, that's not my fault. It's not like I planned to get sucked into this whole trans-dimensional mess you guys all seem so comfortable with. I snap back angrily. You can't expect me to be the craziest conspiracy theorist out there that believes that aliens are going to abduct me to set me up in some arena where I have to fight for my life, and therefore train accordingly. What did you expect would happen? Kentucky demanded, her temper rising. Don't tell me you never noticed how much pressure you had. No one can go through life with that much and not know it. You must have had some sort of sense, at the very least, that you weren't going to end up in the normal job places that most people from your generation were headed for. Don't stand there and deny it. You had the sense that you didn't really belong to your time. Didn't you? I have no idea what you're talking about. I snap. Just because your world has always been insane doesn't mean mine fits the same pattern, really, she snarls. Not at all, eh? Let me take a wild, uneducated guess about your sane world has been like. You kept to yourself, chose one, maybe two, people that you let close. Other than that, you shut yourself off, never let yourself care much for anything. You developed some skills in areas that didn't require any sort of teamwork. You made an appearance of trying to fit in, maybe even with some success, but in the end, you deemed everyone different from yourself. Thanks for the free psychoanalysis, I bite out, cutting her off. If I ever care for your opinion, I'll ask for it. Kentucky spreads her hands wide, as if to say, point in fact. Not my fault. It's the way every one of us was. Each of us cut ourselves off from our worlds, on purpose. We never made an effort to be a part of the bigger picture. It was like we knew that sooner or later, we would just be torn away from it all anyways, so what would be the point of getting too attached? Whatever. I hitch the backpack higher up on my shoulders, trying to let her know that I wanted her to just drop it. Well, fear not, because all of us are like that, so we all have something in common. Social awkwardness. She grins at me. The sudden mood swing is weird, as if she hadn't flipped out at me at all just moments before. Skip looks up as we enter the kitchen. The rest are already gathered around the empty table, and all glance up as we entered the room, except for Amar and Dutch, who were busy arm wrestling. Their arms were tightly locked, their red faces pulsing as each tried to find just a little bit more strength to topple the other, sealing their doom. Amar was losing. Dutch slowly pushing harder and harder, twisting Amar's arm further and further. Jesse grins at me. The winner gets the better blanket in their room. Seriously, I raise an eyebrow. Dutch's head snaps up at the sound of my voice. The blue one is way better. He growls. It doesn't have the stench that the other one carries, they smell exactly the same. Dutch, Kentucky chides. I should know. I've got the best 5 senses out of us all, that's not what I meant. The one leaks out more black pressure than the other one. I'd rather not have to deal with that sort of stuff more than I have to. His gaze flicks to me, but turned back to the arm wrestle so fast that I almost missed it. Stuff gives off pressure, it does if it comes from a filthy black place. Dutch growls at the same time as Chase chimes. No, those two idiots just wanted something to do while they waited for you to show up. Took you long enough, by the way. Well, sorry. I'll try to not black out so that you guys don't have to waste time looking for me. It must have been horrible. I snap. Good. As long as I have your word that you won't repeat this sort of incident in the future. I'm content. Chase smiled, as if he actually meant it. Dibs playing winner. Kentucky calls out. Amar glances up at her, and that's all Dutch needs to slam his arm hard into the table. He grins at Amar massaging his arm. Got you at last. I did. No fair. I call interference, followed by immediate rematch. Amar protested. Skip brought the meeting to order. Shut up. I don't care when you two sort this mess out, as long as it isn't now. Despite what delusions you may be carrying about in your head, we have actual work to do. If you two want to be a part of it, shut up. And if it really matters to you who gets the bloody blanket. There's the door. Take it somewhere else. Dutch just takes a swig of his bottle before passing it across the table to Amar, who simply passes it off to Chase. Chase shrugs, chokes down a swallow, corks it, and tosses it back to Dutch, who hugs it tightly to his chest as if it were more precious to him than anything else in the world. I take a seat next to Jesse. Kentucky wedges a chair in between me and Skip. Okay, let's get to it. Skip. You're the one holding us up here. Let's get to the part where I get to beat something up. If you would shut that enormous trap of yours, the meeting would be half over already. Skip retorted good-naturedly. Here we are, in this beautiful rendition of the Palace of Versailles, albeit on a smaller scale, but that can't be helped. Our objective is to steal the painting Cirque Bleu from the local museum. Apparently it's something of a little gem of an artwork, then again. How would we know? So, what's security like? Jesse asks, leaning forward. Skip shrugs. Dunno. The idiots in charge left a lot of the details out. Then again, they always try to make it challenging. Don't they? So, who's on for espionage? Well, I figured two lovebirds who were both art students at the local university could benefit from a trip to the local museum after the way their instructor went on about contemporary art being so 15th century. Sweet deal. Kentucky grins around me at Amar. Hope you studied up. There's going to be a test on it, actually. Kentucky. Skip interrupts. I was thinking more along the lines of Jesse and Brandee. Jesse needs to go in to get a visual, so I'll be his girlfriend. Kentucky grins. I'm pretty sure you look old enough to be my mother. Jesse chirps, unobtrusively backing away from the table to gain more space between him and Kentucky. She glowers at him. Fine line. Sticky, very fine line. Wait, I interrupt. Does that mean that I have to go check out the brains on booze? Dutch snorts. Dang it all. Chase explodes quietly. Who told him? Amar guiltily raises his hand. Sorry. It just sort of slipped out. What else just sort of slips out of that big trap of yours, genius? Don't answer that. I don't want to find out that Jesse is actually a 20-foot brainless monkey with a computer program to make him look smart. Okay, back to business. Skip cuts them off. Brandee, you're just going to have to get used to a pile of nicknames. Simply put, if it involves a drink, Dutch is either referring to you or some crazy concoction he cooked up. Now, the whole point of this step in the game is to find the weak spots, or strong spots. Depending on what we decide to go for, shouldn't someone else go then? I ask, raising my hand. I mean, hate to break it to you, but I'm not exactly cut out for this whole spy thing where I look for the weak spots. I'm good behind a computer. You ever play stealth? Chase asks. Yeah, a long time ago. Basically, we're aiming for the same thing here. Except, you need to actually talk to the people, instead of getting pop-ups of dialogue whenever you get near one of the security guards during the espionage preliminaries of the mission. He explains. Yeah, no, I'm not going to be much help. Hey, don't worry about it too much. Jesse reassures me. People tend to open up more to a couple of tourists than a person traveling by himself. If you can't handle it, just let me do all the talking. Sounds good, alright, while you two go on your all-day date. Dutch. Amar, you two will go out and get us some grub. Make it last for a couple days, we might not even be here for that long. Skip. Kentucky complains. What's the point in wasting funds? Money doesn't matter. Don't forget, we are here because of our dearly beloved friends, the Black, who graciously filled a drawer in the front foyer chock full of cash. Chase found it earlier. Stuff your pockets on your way out, all of you. But make sure that it isn't a ludicrous amount, in case someone gets in trouble somewhere. If you really need to resupply yourself, the red bags exist for a reason. Brandee. Jesse, the hovercraft will drop you off in the central parking lot, whatever it's called. The museum's few blocks away, a nice little walk. Dress warmly. Everybody else, get a good night's sleep. It's been a while, try 2 years. Chase interrupts. His comment is greeted with knowing laughter. Skip smiles slightly. Yeah, try to make the most of this opportunity. Who knows? Maybe we can stretch this out into a little bit of a vacation. I would advise against that. Dutch speaks up. Oh, care to share your vast depth of knowledge with the rest of us, oh wise and powerful one? Amar asks lightheartedly. Don't get snarky on me just because you lost. Dutch scolds him, shaking a finger at him. This place is going to go sky high by the end of next week. Okay, then we leave by Friday. Skip. Jesse raises his hand. Today is Thursday. Skip shrugs as he stands up. Do I look like I care? It's Monday somewhere else. Can we just agree to act on the calendar that we find ourselves in? Chase offers. Sure, sounds like a plan. Jesse adds. Amar, do you agree? Being the self-appointed expert on time travel, I believe that we should consider your opinion with more deference than anyone else's in the group. Amar shrugs. If I disagree, you guys will just shoot me. Laughter erupts at this as the rest of the gang rises from their seats. With that, Skip announces. This meeting is adjourned. Get a good night's sleep, unless you haven't eaten anything yet. He glances at me. Eat something and go to bed. Lots of stuff to do, and very little time to do it in. The rest of the gang clears out. Dutch's footsteps louder than most as he lumbers up the stairs. A small scuffle breaks out somewhere along the way, but at Skip's bellow, everybody settles down. I grab a plate, fill it with spaghetti, pour some sauce on it, and dig in. I leave the plate half finished in the sink, with a note explaining that I would clean it up in the morning. Spaghetti just doesn't taste too good to me right now, maybe because it's cold and almost rock solid. And I don't really have much of an appetite. The whole heist date thing kinda set me off. Not to mention the training with Hiyori. I sit back down at the table and dig out my little computer tablet. I should probably try to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to use it for. I turn it over in my hand and study the back. There's a small symbol in the center of the back, the symbol for a USB key or port. But, engraved in gold as it is, the symbol looks almost foreign to me, as if I've never seen it before in my life. And above it are the same 3 characters that are on the flat rock in my jacket's pocket, which I had stuffed in my bag along with my boots. With some effort, I manage to dig it out, and place it on the table, along with the black charging cable. Another strand of black catches my eye, and I pull out a thin cord, 3 pieces of string twisted together. It's the perfect length to tie around my neck as a necklace. At the thought, the stone on the table vibrates. I stare at it, but nothing else happens. Gingerly, I pick it up, feeling the weight and the slight glow of heat now emanating from it. The symbols make it look actually kind of cool. How whack of a necklace would it look like? The stone again vibrates, and I drop it on the table, surprised. Light fills the room. And I flinch away, squeezing my eyes shut against the sudden brightness. Voices start to whisper, chanting something in a foreign language. The tones rise and fall in pitch, sometimes screaming, sometimes barely audible. It seems like an eternity before the voices fade away and the light disappears. Slowly, I open my eyes. The stone lies still, the part of the table that it is lying on scorched. The tablet stands beside it. The screen now glowing blue with the USB symbol highlighted in white, slowly rotating as a 3-dimensional image. Cautiously, I reach a hand towards it, and lightly touch the surface. The tablet comes to life, throwing holographic images into the air, symbols both familiar and unrecognizable, rotating in a perfect orb, as if waiting for me to select one. I lightly touch the glowing red icon of 5 uneven bars. The holograph changes, and I am left with a search engine for the internet. A holographic projection of a keyboard scans itself onto the table in front of me. I type in the first thing that pops into my head that seems safe. Influencing holographs, with faint whirs, the hologram flickers and is replaced with a list of results. I select the first one, and am introduced to the world of interactive holographic control. Friends. Numbers. Long, fat, skinny, short, repeating. Negative. Positive, infinity. Everything and nothing flashes through my mind. I'm swimming in a sea of them, they part as I near them, dividing and multiplying, calculating angles and irrational integers. Repeating, forming patterns. Then separating to become meaningless again. None of it makes sense. I try to grab a number with my hand, but nothing reaches out for the number I want. I look at my non-existent body with fear. I do not exist. I am in the world of math, the abstract universe in which time is nothing but a mirage, where life is not considered as part of the never-ending equation. A sudden bang causes me to jump, automatically sitting up in my seat. Mr. Brierson gives me a look as he continues towards the front of the classroom. Brandee, I know this is terribly dull, but could you at least extend to me the courtesy of not falling asleep in my class? The other students giggle at his comment as I gaze around stupidly, trying to place what class this is. Then it hits me, and I wish it hadn't. Detention. What had I done this time? I can't even remember. How many Saturday mornings had I spent like this, stuck with other kids as Brierson went on one of his power talks, taking full advantage of the fact that we all had to be there for the required 3 hours. Since it's normally the same people. Brierson unofficially teaches us some foreign concept, something that pops up on our next test in one of our classes, even if it's an English class, and he provided us with the Fibonacci sequence the previous detention. The VP can do whatever he wants. If you weren't paying attention, but instead were drooling on your desks. Okay, that's taking it too far. I may have been sleeping, but there is no way that I would have drooled on the desk. I glance down at my notebook, the papers blank as always for detentions. Instead of my phone on the top corner of the desk, though, the tablet sits nice and prettily. What's that doing here? I suddenly feel a warmth about my neck. I glance down to see the stone with the 3 Japanese characters glowing, hanging about my neck by the thin black cord. Tenaciously, I wrap a hand around it, glancing sideways to see if anyone had noticed. Weirdly, everybody is actually paying attention to what Brierson is saying. I must be dreaming. Brandee Chase's voice startles me out of my dream, and I sit up, banging my elbow on the table. Ow, I yell as my eyes snap open. It takes me a moment to recognize the crummy wallpaper, the ancient fridge, and scorched tabletop, along with the person sitting across from me. Chase nods at me. Had a nice sleep, did you? I stare at him. I fell asleep. Jesse steps into view. And hands me a cup of coffee. Chase is nursing a half-empty mug, with words proudly proclaiming you should see the other guy. I gulp down the coffee before I even stop to think. My face scrunches up at the bitter taste. You were so far gone. Dutch lumbered right in here this morning, cooked up the perfect drunkard's meal, and clambered out the door with Amar arguing with Kentucky about the merits of meat cooked as opposed to raw meat. Not that that was something you would want to hear discussed in detail. I fell asleep. Chase sighs as he snaps back another page of the newspaper in front of him. Yeah. Petite, we thought you were a goner for sure. Out like a light, snoring. Talking in your sleep, I do not snore. I protest. The rest of his sentence kicks in. What do you mean? Talking in my sleep? I ask self-consciously. Jesse shrugs. The usual. No, don't do that. The best way to get past those kinds of walls are to use the Fibonacci sequence. Just what kind of firewall requires knowledge of ancient Greek math? I dunno. Well, to be fair, it was your dream. Maybe my brain's so much on the fritz that I can't even tell the difference between a bit and a byte. A bit is a piece of machinery used by mechanics to fix insignificant problems and then proceed to charge colossal amounts of money for that action. A byte is a morsel of food. Honestly, Brandee, they aren't that hard to keep separate. Jesse laughs. I fling a hand towards him, trying to cause the motes to move in his direction and knock him off his feet. No luck. The motes do acknowledge me, though, and begin to swirl excitedly. Happy as they seem to be to see me, they don't seem to be too eager to obey my commands yet. It will come. The thought pops into my head, spoken by Hiyori. Hiyori, I silently ask, searching for her. How could she be here? I thought the two worlds were separate entities. No response. Must have been my imagination. I choke down another swallow of coffee, and can almost feel the caffeine buzz driving through my system, wiring my brain to take on more difficult tasks until the buzz wears off. Jesse laughs. What exactly were you trying to do? It takes me a moment to realize that he was talking about my failed attempt at telekinesis. Trying to send some object flying towards you with my mind. I snap. No lie is better than the truth stated in the right tone. Liars 101, Lesson 3. Right, with another random burst of telekinesis, like when the drifters turned on you. Exactly, let him believe what he wants, the patronizing jerk. First thing I do when I can finally move the motes in the real world will be to send him flying into a nearby wall, or at least dumping a glass of water on him. Either seems really appealing right now. I notice the glass of water by the sink. Half full. That would be a great one to use. I close my eyes and imagine the glass floating in the air, drifting up to Jesse from behind, him oblivious until whoosh. I can almost hear the water splash on his head, and his reaction. Hey, I snap my head up from my little revenge daydream to see Jesse drenched. The levitating glass drops suddenly to land on the floor, shattering into thousands of tiny shards. Chase and Jesse are both stunned. I start to laugh. Jess's dark hairs is plastered to the top of his head, completely changing his entire appearance from some slacker to a drenched rat. The water drips from drenched spots on jacket, joining the puddles on the floor. Sorry. Completely random burst of telekinesis. I hope you've had your fun. I suggest that you avoid such demonstrations of power in pointless arguments in the future. Using your power takes energy, a commodity that you appear to be extremely lacking at the moment. Hiyori scolds in my head. Oh, just shut up. I mutter back in my mind. Maybe now Jesse will stop treating me like such a kid all the time. How do you do that? Jesse asks, surprised. Chase gives a low whistle, coming to my rescue. She's a natural. Figuring that sort of thing out on her own. Now that takes some doing. Congrats. Petite, you've successfully completed Lesson 1 without having to listen to any of the boring theory stuff behind it. What is he talking about? Telekinesis appears to be one of the powers that all of us share. Jesse explains, pulling off his sweater. His shirt isn't wet, maybe the sweater is waterproof like the jacket is bulletproof. But I did it without my kinetic thing. Chase snorts. I should hope so. If you needed to depend on that thing for getting you out of a jam, it would be kind of hard to break it out if it was across the room and a man was aiming a gun at your head while telling you to not move. We get caught up in stuff like that. No, Jesse quickly butts in to reassure me. Chase was just using that as a hypothetical. Worst case scenario. He tends to do that, a lot. He shoots Chase a hard look at this last bit. A look that Chase just ignores as he goes back to reading his newspaper. My stomach gives a loud rumble, heard by everyone. Jesse grins. There's cereal and milk. Our options are extremely limited this morning, but we should have more food by tonight. I dig around the kitchen until I come up with a bowl and a spoon, pour myself a bowl, and dig in, gagging at the taste of the first mouthful. The cereal's kinda stale, but that couldn't really be helped. Jesse explains apologetically when he sees my face. The expiration date is set for next week, so the idiots in the cupboard decided that it was safe for consumption. I finish for him. He shrugs. Exactly. And it's like they don't know what flavor is, or that we humans have a knack for wanting a good taste to accompany our meals. Oh, please. Chase begs. Not this theory again. Jesse. I don't care if you want to hold to it, but I don't appreciate you trying to indoctrinate everyone to agree with your views. Could you at least save it until I'm out of the room? Jesse shrugs. Sorry. Forgot? Yeah, you tend to forget a lot. Chase grumbles. An awkward silence descends on the kitchen. Not one for letting it drag on. I clear my throat. So if the chaser is already gone, how are we getting to the museum today? Jesse shoots me a grateful glance. Well, when we're set. I figured we might as well call a taxi and travel the real way. He glaces at Chase, who's ignoring us. By car rather than by plane. Guess I won't see you anytime soon in the Air Force, right? I joke. He laughs. No, definitely not. There's a reason why the first city was built instead of an airplane. He shoots a quick glance at Chase again, almost guiltily. I force myself through the bowl of cereal, glad to escape it at last. I approach the sink with some chagrin, remembering the half-finished plate of spaghetti still there. But the sink is sparklingly empty, the plate and leftovers nowhere to be found. I'm gonna go take a shower. Jesse announces. Don't want to look too ratty when we go. Yeah. I'll probably take one too. I'm used, distracted. I shrug off the oddness, clean my bowl and spoon, and put away the milk and cereal, the milk in the fridge and the cereal in the garbage can that I find under the sink. I wander up the stairs and find my room back. I dig through the closet, which is chock full of clothes for the average female, ranging from child to adult, from young and hip to old and vintage. I pull out several shirts. None of which are really my thing, until one logo catches my eye. Speaking is not communication, perfect. I take the fresh set of clothes, including black and green striped socks and loose-fitting cargo pants, along with a towel, and wander down the hall, opening every door as I go along. Every single room is a bedroom, and I'm about to give up when I reach the very end of the hallway to find a half-decent bathroom. I knock on the door, hesitating before stepping in, but it was pointless. No one's in here. Guess Jesse must have found another one. Half an hour later, consisting of a solid cold shower, wrestling with tangled hair, and scrambling to fix the shower after accidentally sending the curtain flying with a wave of telekinesis. I emerge, victorious, ready to go. Jess is waiting for me in the hallway, leaning against the wall adjacent to the door, arms crossed against his chest. I don't feel too underdressed when I see what he's wearing, the black bulletproof long coat, a black t-shirt with a Greek symbol on it, and jeans. At the sight of me, he peels himself up off the wall. "'Bout time. You are such a girl. Hey, would you rather be wandering around with a girl who has a case of bedhead, please? If you did that, I would have ditched you at the door." He smirks. Car's ready. We wander through the huge mansion. Chase was just kidding when he called it the Palace of Versailles. The place looks great, but it didn't belong to any big shot like a king. It belonged to a noble family, who had a lot of money, but they mysteriously disappeared. Ownership papers never exchanged hands, so the gang suspects the black. I'm starting to think that the black are just a fictitious creation designed so that we have something to blame for what's going on. But then again, there's the whole issue of the file skips apparently getting all the time. Why does he always get it though? Why not someone else for a change? A black cab, stretched out sort of like a limo, is parked outside the front door. The wind picks up as we descend the stairs. I take a moment to glance up at the overcast sky. A raindrop slam against my cheek. Perfect, just when I need it. Is that a limo? Jesse laughs. No, just a more expensive cab than the average Joe. It's even got rear-facing seats. I pull on my black jacket, sling my backpack over my shoulder, and follow Jesse towards the back door. Jesse opens the door for us, and slides in after me.